could be right, but the one thing I want people to see is that gold is a $12 trillion market. Okay,
Yeah.
so this is not like crypto that's a $1 trillion market. It's very different. As you know, I think crypto is very interesting. It's not the same as gold. There's nothing like having gold. It's off the grid. It's out of the reach. I mean, nobody knows that this coin is sitting, right here. It's just there. It's not connected to anything. And I think as we move further down this path, people are going to start realizing, hang on a second, there's something special about this gold that's off the grid. It's real wealth. It's money. It's not an investment. Tell people that. They get very upset. But in my book, I tell them it's not an investment. It's money. It's an asset. Metalla is an investment. I got a Metalla hat because the stock was up 128% last year. And we printed up some of these hats. They're really nice. And gold was up 25%. The stock was up 128%. That's an investment. Okay, so when you look at gold, you don't want to be speculating saying, okay, I'm going to bet heavily that gold's going to do this or that. When we say it's going to go to 2,500 this year, how are you going to play that? Are you going to buy a coin for 2,000 and sell it for 2,500? Or are you going to buy a royalty company that has thousands of ounces in the ground? And when it goes to 2,500, all the value of those ounces gets pulled into today.
Here's my theory, Evie, and you can correct me if you think I'm wrong. I think gold eventually will hit 2,500, maybe this year, maybe next year, who knows? But what we've seen over the last couple of months, if you take a look at the gold price chart, is a high around August and then a steady decline until maybe November, and then we saw a bounce back into the $1,900 range, which is where we are today. So, my suspicion is that a lot of people, institutions, retail investors, whatever the case may be, were taking their profits off of their August highs. And then as a vaccine rolled out, optimism kicked in, sector money rotation kicked in, people allocated more money into risk assets, and then now we're starting to see a bounce back into gold. So maybe you're off by 6 months.
That could be right, but the one thing I want people to see is that gold is a $12 trillion market. Okay, yeah. So this is not like crypto that's a $1 trillion market. It's very different. As you know, I think crypto is very interesting. It's not the same as gold. People say to me, is Bitcoin digital gold? And I say, no, it's not digital gold, because gold is not physical Bitcoin. Okay, so you got to separate these two things, right? So when you look at the gold market, David, the gold market is very big. It's very institutional. Countries, kings, wealthy families own gold. Okay, so the gold market tends to move up to a new level and then chop around and take money from speculative traders. Okay, that are trying to gamble. And then once it's done, it moves to another level. You notice that did that at the 1,300 level, did that at the 1,500 level, did that at the 1,900 level. It's sitting there now. It's going to move up to another level, and it's going to do the same thing again. So what I encourage people to do is to say, okay, how are you going to play that? You're going to play that by buying tons of futures contracts and options and borrowing heavily and taking a second mortgage to bet on GDX options or something like that. I mean, that's pretty risky. Okay, but if you look over time, this price moves up commensurate with destruction of your wealth in traditional government money. And so when people look at it like that, I think it makes a lot more sense. 25% for gold last year. I mean, since when is 25% not enough? I mean, what are people's other investments? I mean, Metalla, 128%, that's different. But think about this. We live in a world where the bank pays you zero, and then gold goes up 25% and people are upset. It's really strange times.
So what is a price that makes sense to you this year for gold?
We think as soon as the grinding is done at 1,900, you pop up into the low 2,000s and you hit 2,500 next year. We were surprised that the rally to August didn't carry on. We felt like some of the fundamentals were in place for it to carry on, but we underestimated the pullback. But we see as soon as we're done at 1,900, you notice we haven't made a new low. The low was earlier in the fall, and we haven't made a new low. So it's continuing to make higher lows. So that's what you watch on the chart.
The pullback caught a lot of people off by surprise. One of the theories that I've heard was that Bitcoin was stealing gold's thunder, and people have compared Bitcoin and gold. You brought up a good point. If you put the two charts side by side, it does seem like capital flowed into Bitcoin away from gold. Now, I have my doubts. What are your thoughts?
Okay, so gold's an over $12 trillion market, and Bitcoin, we have to check it minute by minute because it's moving that fast. But let's just say Bitcoin is a $700 to $750 billion market. And again, you've got to realize that these two things are not interchangeable. It's not, Bitcoin is not digital gold. Gold is not physical Bitcoin, okay? So they're different. They both have important properties, okay? People are treating Bitcoin as wealth storage. Maybe that's true, maybe it's not true. I think over the long run, they're going to be surprised that Bitcoin is far more on the grid than people realize, okay? That's up to them to discover. But I'm not so sure that you can say that dollars coming out of gold and going into Bitcoin. I'm not sure that works. I don't think it holds up under analysis, and I also don't think it matters. When you look at gold, if you read in my book, we talk about how much gold should I own. It's the number one question people ask. And we give you a formula to kind of figure out what's right for you. It's a really small amount, actually. And the same could go for people that say, how much Bitcoin should I own? I get asked this question all the time. And I say, well, have you bought any? No, I want to know about it. Well, it's buy a gold coin, buy one of these, right? Buy a Bitcoin, what could possibly go wrong? So I think people are ideological is my point. They're getting into this ideological framework around Bitcoin that starts, to the guy with a hammer, everything's a nail. You look at the gold price has a correction and they say it's because of Bitcoin. No, it's not because of Bitcoin. It's not. These two things are mutually exclusive. And if you see that, you can make money off both. If you don't see that, you're probably going to just speculate and gamble and lose money.